Oh no. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's no sound coming through.
I hope they enjoyed what they did here.
From anyone? Okay.
Okay, well, with that being said, then I've noticed that Jed has joined us.
On the audio?
He's in the chat at the moment. Yeah.
So they should be
Yeah. He's muted though.
Yeah.
In the next few seconds. Let me know once you start hearing us on the track, 'cause there's like a 30-second delay between what we do now and what comes from the stream.
Yeah, if you could just... Yeah, it's on there, but if you could just turn me down a tiny bit on there.
Yeah, no problem.
I think we're going to have to start again, unfortunately.
No, never. All right, let's just do a quick one then. Jeff. Oh, shock horror.
Okay, we'll leave that first matchup as is and talk about it in a moment. But we had an audio problem there, so just to recap, this event where no ban has gone before, what's distinctive about this event is that we've extended the ban list considerably. We already had, 15 or 20 cards that were banned, and there's another dozen cards this time, with the idea being these are cards we've seen a whole lot of in the last few events, and so we're hoping to encourage a little more creativity and variety in the fleets that we're seeing, and I think that's definitely what we got. We got a lot of variety, so it's already been a big success in that regard.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just we started to see a few cards that were just appearing with too much frequency, and it was almost becoming too stereotypical. Too many stereotypical fleets were turning up, and just for the bit of variety, just mix it up a little bit. It's nice to just throw a few of the really, easier cards to use out for now, and see how clever players can really be with some of the fleets. And I think they've managed to demonstrate that with some of the fleets I've seen so far.
No more cruises. Especially.
Another thing I just wanted to say is, in the past, it hasn't mattered how many points you win by in a game. It's been about your win-loss record. And what we're going to do this time is the standings are still going to be based on win-loss record, but the tiebreaker will be your overall combined margin of victory across all your games. So it will actually matter whether you win by a lot or win by a little, unlike in the past.
So get to killing.
Yeah, definitely.
So before we realised that we had an audio issue, we've already drawn the first matchup here. Derek versus Haz. I will speak about Haz's fleet in a moment, but Jeff was just beginning to talk about Derek's fleet.
Derek is on screen.
Okay, good. So Derek's been playing with us on and off for a year or two, and this is definitely a ship we've seen before in our events, and it's quite distinctive. As you know, if you watched any of his games from last tournament, this NX is just impossible to kill. So he's got James Kirk to get the chain going of crew actions for free. He's got Admiral Pike to add a crew. He's got William Riker from the Hood to add defense dice and defensive quality. He's got Arsenal to add a couple of weapons. Montgomery Scott to clear out Oxes. Exocomp to remove damage from his ship every other round. Mires to undisable cards. And Defensive Sulu, who's very important, every round getting 2 extra defense dice. And enhanced hull plating, so that if anything gets through, you can add a couple of aid results to your defense at the cost of an Ox. So this ship is it's rolling huge amounts of defense dice, and it's got great defensive quality, and it's just impossible to kill. So it definitely adds a distinctive element to any game that Derek's in. He has other ships to do with a little more firepower, I guess. He's got the animated Enterprise Constitution class. He's got the new Cisco to take care of Ox's arsenal again in there, and a couple of Constitution class specific weapons, which is fun to see. Full power phaser barrage and dual phaser banks. He's got Miles O'Brien, excuse me, to re-enable dual phaser banks. Beverly Crusher and Phlox as sort of a loop of doctors to take care of disabled crew upgrades, and Tom Paris to add defense. So again, this is a fun ship. If it gets to repair its shields, it's going to live for a long time. So you kind of have to one-shot it, and this ship is going to stay on the table for a long time. And finally, his third ship, I don't think he did this last time, but it's a Bajoran ship out there, which is great to see. The Ratosha with Captain Data and 2 copies of Bajoran Militia to add extra defense dice. So that'll be fun. That one could do some damage, and it's great to see a Bajoran scout on the table.
Yeah.
Over to you, Nick.
Yeah, no, that's good. Nice tanky list there. Like you said, very very difficult to shift. So we've got 2 Prometheus classes, 2 generic Prometheus classes.
Just updating the browser list, so just stall for a little bit longer because I've got to manually type everything. Right, okay, and on the screen.
Excellent. So yes, we've got 2 Prometheus classes, generic Prometheus classes, but it's a similar sort of setup going on. On the first one, we've got Captain Tomalak, which is a pretty nice captain. I'd say rather underrated. He's got some good rerolls going for him because he's got plenty of tech slots used on there. Something hidden under Genesis effect. Impulse efficiency and Federation helmsman for an extra degree of maneuverability. Systems upgrade for the extra shield, and a dorsal phaser array, which means that you can fire in all directions. It's a very good 48-point Prometheus class. And then we move down to his other one, which is running core. So sort of similar to Tomalak, with the amount of crew that he's got on this one, he's got some rerolls, and Maxwell Forest for again extra maneuverability, bit of extra tankiness with reinforced shielding, and another dorsal phaser array. So he won't care about blind spots, he's just going to go wherever he wants. And then finally, we're running who would run a science vessel? Honestly, has. We're running a science vessel with Matt Decker. You have Ambassador Cord, which will be really interesting to see how he uses that one. Lure, which is another card that we're starting to see pop up just a little bit more in recent events. Basically mess with your dial stuff going on Matt Decker. And some Cloaked Minds, because why wouldn't you? And Julian Bashir, who's sitting around waiting to re-enable cards as well. And that has his list, so runs around a bit and doesn't have to worry too much about blind spots. So it should be a good
There was a very, very pleasing symmetry there with his 2 cards, one of which adding 3 rerolls for the techs, and another one, once McCoy flips his hidden card, there'll be 3 crew on the other ship and 3 rerolls from there. So
without
nice
giving
and elegant.
Without giving Haz too much of an ego, it's a clever way to get those rerolls in there, really.
Yeah, and I want to mention Kelvin McCoy in particular there as a card that he's notable, unlike Quark, or Quark who discards when he flips his card. McCoy flips his card and stays on the ship, so he no longer has anything useful on him unless you can flip him over to get the other Kelvin side. But it is interesting. We'll notice today that there's this Kelvin McCoy being used as an excess crew in a number of different ways. Here to get one more reroll for core, but there's a couple other places where useless crew can still be useful. And call attention to those.
Yeah.
So I was going for fastest fleet, and I'm hoping I've got it.
Well, we'll
But
find out.
RSV could be lagging a bit, but
Yeah.
it's not
Trying to
really
catch
part
up.
of the fleet.
Chugging along.
So, okay, well, we'll head into match 2. So, I'll just random these up again, and we'll go for Dan W. against myself. There we go. So, 2 Dominion fleets, and I will stay out of this one then, and I'll leave it to you both to talk about them.
Sweet.
Which fleet do you want to talk about, Az?
Definitely next.
Okay, I figured as much.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
we'll talk about dance.
Right, and you are on screen.
Okay, so this fleet is quite familiar to me because I faced something very much like it last tournament and lost to it. So it's a really nice fleet. It's 3 Cardassian ships of all roughly the same cost. He's starting with a Prelock with old school Gold Ducat, Supreme Tribunal to hand out an Ox at inconvenient times, Legion Crew module adding room for a bunch of crew, in this case Gold Amar for Captain Boost, Gold Broca to give your whole fleet basically plus attack dice, and Shroud to allow you to do that a couple times by discarding Shroud instead of Gold Broca. Dorsal weapons array to shoot in any direction, and Bohica to give you extra quality, which combos well with that free battle station from Gold Ducat. The second ship, first wave attack fighters. So a lot of times we've seen fighter squadrons run, but without much on them. Basically just the bare 20-point ship. But what Dan's gone with here is some seriously strong upgrades, which I felt the wrath of in my game against him. He's got first wing attack fighters, the named Dominion ship. It's got Galler class phaser banks. Some people may not know fighters normally only attack at up to range 2, but with this special upgrade they can attack all the way up to range 3, and also boosts the primary weapon value, whatever your token says for your red number. And also this other expensive aft disruptor wave cannons, which lets you fire your primary weapon in any direction, and that's what basically won him the game against me, was getting to shoot sideways from his fighters. So that was unfortunate for me, but good call for Dan. And flanking attack, another one. He had a planet blocking his fighters, but instead he could just hand his attack dice over to a ship that could fire, and so that was a really nasty ship to face. The Traeger, his third ship, another one coming in at about 40 points. Gol Turan, who is becoming more and more popular, handing out plus dice to all friendly ships. Obsidian Order to get to sort of copy what another ship has spent. You get a token on your ship of that type. Type 3 Galler for more shields. Tactical Command Reticle to once again add dice, and aft weapons array to give you that full 360-degree arc. So this is a fleet that hits really hard and hits in all directions and hits with a lot of dice. So there'll be a lot of carnage. We'll see how Nick can do against that fleet. Take it away, Haz.
Alright, Mr. Nick, or the man himself, Mr. OK. Let's update that. So, he is now on screen. Right, so, Nick. I had the pleasure of having a test game with him this week, so I have a personal account of this list, so I won't give too much away. But so you've got a ship you don't often see, the Bream Battle Cruiser, a female changeling as the captain, trip phaser committers and experimental torpedo base, so there's 2 hidden weapons, and then you've got core act in action to increase the captain skill of the female changeling, which is going to be a free action thanks to the changeling's action. Without knowing what's under those cards, don't actually know what this ship is capable of, truly capable of. But there will be some surprises. Not the most impressive stat line for a ship, but you'll see later on that will synergize quite nicely. You've got the 4th Wing Patrol Ship, an action that busts a fellow Jemadar ship nearby, attack ship nearby. You've got, like you say, classic Goldie Cup with a free action. Shroud, Genesis effect with a hidden crew. Phased polar rom beams, so that will go straight for your shields if you got them. And Gold Broker, which is a discard which plays into Shroud, increasing everyone's attack dice. So there's a lot of synergy going on there. Now you've got a fleet support ship that can kick a bit of arse. That's backed up by a standard attack ship, standard bug ship with Gen Khan. He'll copy the highest captain skill. Another phased polar on beams, go straight for your shields. And then Goldemar to give Gen Khan that ridiculous boost that will allow him to always be the top captain, unless he's up against another Gen Khan who's got an additional captain skill boost. So this one's more about being a weapon, being supported by the previous attack ship. Oh god, 2 Romulan science vessels, who runs those? So Nick's running 2 of these bad boys. He's got, as Jeff pointed out, Gold around, who's becoming quite the thing. It's been a personal campaign for Nick. Used almost all of his tournaments. Extra attack dice, extra defense dice on a chosen faction. Toya Uhura increases the range of an upgrade on either that your ship or a friendly ship. Very useful because he's got options with that for all the other ships in his fleet. The legendary Denatras on the other science vessel, another attack dice. So now you're seeing these 2 Romulan science vessels are supporting the rest of the fleet with the other support bug ship. Suddenly there's attack dice coming out of his eyeballs. Cloak Mines for board control, and then Vendorian Spy that can copy a fellow crew or a friendly crew within reach 1 to 2 of that ship. So whatever he needs that Vendorian to do, he can duplicate. It's a list that synergizes really nice, and it does punch extremely hard. I haven't been on the receiving end of that. Very powerful list. This should be a Dominion on Dominion civil war. It's going to be a very brutal affair. Indeed, very strong lists. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll move on to match 3 then. Shuffle them up again. We've got Jack versus Jed. Well, I think I know which one you'd like to talk about here, Jeff. So
sure. I'll talk about Jed.
I will talk about Jack's. So
and by the way, I just got a message saying that Haz is a little quiet on the stream. That's a rare statement for anyone to make, so probably pretty severe.
There you go. I'll up the volume, should be alright now.
Thanks.
Cool, on screen.
You guys will regret pointing that out, just so you know.
I'm discreetly trying to enjoy my pizza.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so here we go. Jack. We've got the beautiful Enterprise E Sovereign class, and James T. Kirk with some photon torpedoes. Obviously, for this particular tournament, we banned the 2-point kind of Federation torpedoes because, I mean, let's face it, for their points, they're ridiculously powerful. But he's found a way to put some more Federation photons in there. They're going to be chucking out a nice 6 attack die there. And powerful Chekhov, so that you can clear the auxiliary power that the Enterprise E will inevitably get a lot easier. So, nice Enterprise E. Everyone knows what it can do. It's a very powerful ship. We've got a lovely Nebula class, a Vulcan Nebula class with so the USS Tucumbra with T'Pau, the Photonic Autocannon Vulcan weapon, chucking out 5 die, Vorik, just to keep up with that Vulcan theme, and Christine Chapel as well on that one. Do love a good Nebula class. And finally, we've got the USS Voyager.
I like the theme of Christine Chapel hanging out with the Vulcans.
Yeah, it is. That is quite good. Yeah, we've got USS Voyager with William T. Riker, a metaphasic suite, because why wouldn't you? Overcharged phasers, always good, because that's basically kind of giving you the sort of range 1 bonus at 1 to 2 as well. Julian Bashir to, remove time tokens, and 7 of 9, which I'm guessing is going to be helped by Bashir. So there's a lot of action economy going on in this list, I can see, and it's still chucking out a fair amount of attack die. And of course, the Vulcans doing what they do. It's all about the scans, and having experienced it once against Jed, scans they're definitely underrated in this game, because if you're not chucking any defense die out, there's no room for modifications, and it's just I hate scans. Every time Jed runs them, I tell him he's cheating. So there we go. But yeah, it's a very nice list. I like the theme. It's all Federation, Federation/Vulcan, and yeah, in fact, looking at it now, it's completely faction pure. So very nice to look at on the board as well. So yeah, well done with that one, Jack. And we move on to the man himself, Jed.
On screen.
Let me also just point out, I forgot to say this earlier, we do have a couple players playing with us for the first time this event, so that's fun to see. You've probably seen Jack hanging out on various channels and learning more about the game and playing some test games, and now taking the next step, which is facing Jed, who's always a bit of a challenge to face. I don't think I've ever beaten him, and he's a great guy, so it's kind of a 1-2 punch there. And he's brought
a bit of a thing with Jed as well. Like, I haven't beaten him despite.
Yes, he's quite good, and he's brought a quite interesting fleet here. A fleet after my own heart. Jed and I always in November we celebrate what's called Malt's Day, where you build crazy fleets to move cards around from one ship to another. That's something you can do with malts. That's something you can do with shuttlecraft. He's gone an additional route here that we'll see in a second. The first ship to show is not a lot to say about it. It's a Borg tactical cube with the new Cisco on it to handle Ox, take care of an Ox in the end phase for free. It's a big, heavy ship. It's a large base ship, and it's one of the challenges is how do you fit stuff onto it. And so what Jed has done is he's brought a shuttlecraft and he's brought transporter. So first of all, on the Prometheus class, nice to see another one of those on the board. Not as many as Has is running, but still good. He's got, again, the generic Prometheus with old school Spock, who gives you a free target lock or scan each round. The annoying Ambassador Cord, who can give you a move at the start of the game, or he gets to see your dial each round until you take damage. Transporter, which is another way to move cards from one ship to another. Reinforced shielding to make that Prometheus survive longer. And Kelvin Kirk, who is nice for free. He gives you stuff every few rounds. He increases your captain skill, and he gives you a free battle station. And also, quite notably, he has an elite slot, which is pretty rare for crew. So what you can do is these tricks that can move crew around from one ship to another. That's really the only crew on his ship. And how transporter works is you get to trade, you get to swap crew with another ship, and when you do that, the crew brings along the elite that it has. So he's going to be able to either swap a crew with the tactical cube or swap a crew with the Sakharov, and bringing along Picard maneuver, which is a fun one. It moves you 5 forward and basically kills all the attacks against you that round, because everyone has to roll -4 attack dice against you. So I think we have a new candidate for the fastest ship on the board, at least for one round. And finally is the shuttlecraft. He brought a Sakharov with captured. The Sakharov is more expensive shuttlecraft, but it has this really nice thing that it adds an extra slot, and that slot gets a -2 discount, and so it's a way to fit sometimes an expensive card on the shuttlecraft that you otherwise couldn't equip, because shuttlecrafts only allow cards that cost 3 or less. So he didn't even bother to put a captain on here, but he put an Admiral Shanti, with her Elite of the Lone Hunt to get an extra attack die as long as the ship is alone. No one within range 2 that's friendly. Captured, so you can put Meridor on there, and another case of Leonard McCoy hiding somebody, we don't know what, and Chemosite. So that shuttlecraft could go on either of the other ships, because they're both hull 4 or more. So it's going to disappear under one of his big ships and bulk it out a little bit. This is a great way to go beyond the 50-point limit, is to build a ship near 50 and then throw a bunch more stuff on the shuttlecraft that goes onto it. So I don't know exactly what he's planning here, but just again to call attention to Leonard McCoy, hides a useful crew and then just sits around there, but he does provide someone that you can swap back and forth with using the transporter. So I'm sure Jed has all kinds of devious plans here, and this will be a fun fleet to see on the table, definitely.
Definitely. Okay, so we'll move on to match 4, and we'll just shuffle it up again, and we will reveal Dre. Now he is one of our new players that
Yeah, he's the other one we've never had play with before.
And Dre is against Rob S. Okay. I will talk about Dre's list, actually. I'm interested in Dre's list. And maybe, I don't know, someone not biased towards Rob S's list perhaps might want to talk about that one.
Who are you suggesting?
Actually, probably Jeff, to be fair.
Oh, that's okay. I get to work the technical stuff in the background, so I'm quite happy.
Sounds good.
So going for Dre's list. So as Jeff pointed out, we've got some new players, and I love the look of Dre's list. If I'm honest, I'm always happy to see the Deredex on the board. Great looking ships, and definitely underrated in this game, I believe. So we'll start off with Dre's first ship, the Deredex, the Borgified Deredex, with a much better stat line. And we have Captain Liviana. There we go. Captain Liviana, and some Romulan cloaked mines, because why wouldn't you? Additional weapons array to just make it hit a lot harder, and some aft disruptor emitters as well, just to cover that blind spot. Although the Deredex does have a pretty good dial, so it'll shift around quite a bit. Just a very, very nice Deredex class there. Next up, we've got a Scimitar. I haven't seen too many Riemann Warbirds for a while. There was a few tournaments back where we had quite a few on the board, but they've not been around for a little while, and it's nice to see them on the board again. They've got an absolutely great stat line, pretty decent dial, certainly extremely fast with the 6 forward, a 3 hard turn as well. Fantastic dial. Larus is the captain of that one. Very underrated captain, I think. Very good. In the combat phase, so there's a passive thing that if you perform a sensor echo, you get free battle stations and extra attack die for that round. So just really suits the Riemann Warbird. It's got polarized hull plating as well, which is basically like the ablative armor that the Defiant class gets. and the aft disruptor emitters again covering his blind spot. So it's going to be pretty hard to catch out these two ships. Try and catch out their blind spots. And we've got finally the IRW Saran, the Valdor class. So he's really covering all of the really nice Romulan ships there. And the Valdor class has the Valdor Captain, which is if the ship is that you're targeting is not in your forward firing arc, or sorry, you're not in their firing arc, you get an extra attack die. Advanced cloaking device, just to keep him cloaked a little bit longer, and the aft disruptor emitters as well. So what I really like about this list is that it could fly together and just be this big hammer, but he also has options to fly them all separately around the board and just wreak havoc on anyone that maybe has to stay together. It's a very nice list. I like it a lot.
Can you say something about the list too if you leave it up, Paz? I guess you do. It was funny because Dre is new to our group. I talked to him a little bit. I knew he was from Canada because he'd been talking about Canadian dollars, and I saw this list and it reminded me of lists that Joseph, former world champion Joseph, also from Canada, loved to run. The Saran is his favorite ship. The aft disruptor emitters, the tricks he would do with the Saran, where it would attack sideways and then get out of range and just pepper you with stuff. And so it's funny because I don't know about his attack wing experience. I don't think he has very much, but it looks like a world championship fleet already. So that's kind of fun. The Saran, by the way, he can stay cloaked to get an Ox and then attack and then do this green 2 maneuver to clear his Ox. So it's a quite interesting ship. There's no other ship quite like it. So that'll be fun to see on the board. And also welcome Dre to our tournaments.
Oh, it's a very nippy fleet. I love it.
Yeah. And I guess I'm going to talk about Rob's, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me when it's up. Okay. All right. Well, as I think we might have said earlier, we weren't sure when we worked on this ban list whether we were going to see a lot of Gorn Raiders or not. And at least for this one fleet, we're seeing a lot of Gorn Raiders. He's got 4 of them, all of them with disruptor bombardments. And so the first one is the Gornaris, one of the named Gorn, with the Picard who picks a faction at the start of the game that he's particularly mad at, similar to how he was against the Borg. And you roll 1 fewer attack die to just automatically add a crit result. So it's pretty nasty every time you attack. And so the multi-attacks, that's quite nice. So this is a clever combo. Gorn sensors to give that 1 extra die because it's a secondary weapon attacking at range 1 when you're using disruptor bombardment. For those of you who don't know what disruptor bombardment is, you will soon know if you watch this tournament. You can place a token anywhere in range 1 to 2 of your firing arc, and that token attacks everyone within range 1 of it. And Rob has done a clever thing here. He has used rapid reload to place fewer, not just fewer time tokens, but in fact only 1 time token. So disruptor bombardment will attack, would normally get 3 time tokens, but instead it gets 1 time token. So it's right back on in your face again on the next round. So, and unfortunately for the opponents, it's not just the Gornaris with this approach. The second ship is the Gressril, which is definitely the best of the Gorn ships because of its fantastic ship ability, where you can disable a shield to just wipe out one of the hits against you. And as long as you still have shields, next round that shield is right back there again, defending for you. So it's almost like a free evade token every round. He's got Core, which we've seen in a couple of other fleets already. The same trick with Gorn sensors and disruptor bombardment. and rapid reload, taking advantage of that first sentence in its text. This upgrade counts as a crew, tech, or weapon, your choice. And so another clever use of what might otherwise seem like a useless crew. He's made those, he's made them both crew. So you get this rapid reload effect twice, so he'll be having 3 straight rounds of disruptor bombardment. And because they count as crew, they count towards Core's reroll. So another clever use by our players here of extracting the last little bit of use out of their cards. And then he's got 2 generic Gorn Raiders. So this is not Gen Con. This is the con that if you spend the battle station, all of your battle station rolls convert to crits instead of hits. The same tricks with Gorn sensors, disruptor bombardment, and rapid reload. So basically, Rob here is going to be attacking everyone on the first 2 rounds with all of his ships if they stay together. So it'll be quite a challenge to approach his fleet. And then finally, a 4th Gorn Raider with the tricks with Gorn sensors, disruptor bombardment, and rapid reload. And T'Pau, who I have not seen used before. I think Tristan ran it a couple times, maybe Kilo. If you've done a scan, then you can replace the scan in the end phase with an evade and a battle station that you get staying on the board for the next round. Scans are particularly nice for disruptor bombardment because it helps all of your attacks. Every single attack that it rolls, if there's a scan token, the defender rolls 1 fewer defense die. So it's quite nice. And this will be a fun one to see on the board, I must say. That'll be an interesting one.
I have to admit, the addition of rapid reload was really good, and the using it as crew for core is just brilliant, genius.
Yeah, it's really nice. I agree.
I just absolutely hate disruptor bombardment because I've had some painful experiences with it, so slightly biased towards it.
Right.
All right then, so let's move on to match 5. We're getting through this now. So shuffle them up again, and we have David W. against Gots. So, Haz, do you want to take one for a change?
Yep, I'll take one for the team.
Cloud has, in fact.
On screen. Okay, let's reduce hazard. Right then, so, yes, a Dominion fleet, very nice. So, you got the pre-lock, buffs up all Dominion ships with an attack dice at range 1. Gold Turan, another attack dice buff. Excuse me, at range 1 to 2. Cloning facility, one you see very often, becomes a copy of a Dominion card. Aft weapons away to cover that blind spot. Tactical command reticle, extra attack dice. So this ship's chucking out some hefty dice numbers already. And then Bohica, thanks to the fact that the Kelvin gets the battle stations over the Galor, just being a passive modification. It's blatantly a support ship, but it's definitely bringing some weight to the party as well. So, and in my opinion, Kelvin class is a very nice ship. That is. So it's a very, very nice build, that one. Moving on to the Vitar. All of it. So the Vitar's dishing out free actions to friendly Dominion ships. We've got classic free action to cut, another cloning facility, another blind half weapons away from the blind spot, another tactical reticle, and then Xiao, one you really don't see very often. Basically shows the white flag and then cancels the attack, and then gets to make a shot when you're shooting that ship at range 1. That's going to be buffed up by the pre-lock, so that's going to be carrying some weight as well as dishing out some free actions nearby. Very efficient ship. You've got a standard Kelvin class with Weu, who's added some extra crew slots with discounts. Supreme Tribunal for that Orcs control, range 1 to 2. Goldemar for additional captain skill. some reroll its attack, and it may convert a blank to a hit. Cloning facility to copy a crew on one of the ships, and then tactical reticle. The rule of 3. We get all that. That's definitely going to be well. The range 1 bonus doesn't affect the rule of 3, and I think he's just on the edge of rule of 3 there, isn't it? I think with all the modifications being chucked around, they're chucking out 8 dice range 2 to 3, and at range 1 it will be 9 dice thanks to the range 1 bonus, which is included in the rule of 3. And he's got the modifications to back it up. This list is very offensively efficient, which is a theme we're seeing with the Dominion there, really being able to pack some punch behind that. And they're on the Kelvin classes, which, there's a Galor there, granted. That's a very nice punchy list. Expect that to hit hard.
With a 180-degree arc as well.
Yeah, but not many places people can hide when they're up against that kind of element.
One other thing I'm going to say, I think that a list similar to this was run in sort of a practice game where people were trying out Tora Zial. Like you said, we almost never see her in our events, but in fact, when the Cardassian pack came out, there were people complaining that she basically breaks the game, that she's so powerful, and we've never quite seen her do that. So I'm interested to see her unleashed here and see. Because it's crazy not crazy, but it's super powerful to be able to A, cancel an attack, and B, get an attack back, especially with the boosts to attack dice and stuff. So it'll be fun to see her do her thing.
Yeah, I'd like to see it used as well. It's something I've considered using occasionally, and then I've always thought the better of it, because I feel like there's just one thing that she's missing. But if it gets off, it'd be nice to see if he can get around that. That'd be good.
It's also worth noting there are several really powerful cards in the game that, rather than saying discard, they say removed from play, so you can't bring them back with effects like Go Press Latinum or Go Vol or something that keep you from using them twice. Because you can't bring them back since they're not actually discarded, they're removed from play. And so, for instance, if you ran Go Vol and Tora Zial, you couldn't use her twice, but this is a clever way potentially with cloning her, and then it's the cloning card that discards. So it's a sneaky loophole to maybe even use her more than once if it comes to that. So again, that'll be very interesting to see how she does.
Definitely. Okay. And go on, Ed. So I'll take Scott's list, and we've got. It was inevitable. I was going to talk about a disruptive bombardment eventually, but I'll keep you all waiting for that, because he's starting off with a ship very close to my heart, the USS Sutherland, which I just absolutely love. I love a Nebula class. I love this Nebula class. When defending, cancel a hit. Can be very tanky, and Scott has just gone and made it extra tanky with some reinforced shielding and systems upgrade. So you've got a ship that's already difficult to kill, and you've just given it 3 extra shields. He's running Captain Core with Needs of the Many multi-adaptive shields, which is again just all about the defense. Valeris, just again more just dishing out those evade tokens. William Riker giving himself extra defense. It's so defensive. Good luck someone trying to kill that thing. You're going to be dedicating a lot of your time to trying to take it down.
It's so defensive, it's offensive.
And you have to attack it because of core.
Absolutely, yes. So we've also got a Gorn Raider. Scott does like his Gorn. I think that's pretty obvious at this stage. With Captain Seslak. And we've got Admiral Q. Don't see Admiral Q too often. So Admiral Q is -1 to your captain ability, but does allow you to rotate your ship 180 degrees, and that can be pretty good if you're running some disruptive bombardments and you really want to get it off. We've got some Gorn hegemony, Gorn sensors, disruptive bombardment. I think we've already talked about what Gorn sensors and disruptive bombardment are doing. Some Meridor Gorn ale we haven't seen around for a little while, but it's always good to see. Beta Herogen for the captain skill, but also because extra scan tokens are going to be working really well with those disruptive bombardments. And then finally we've got the Gressroll. Again, we've talked about it. I feel like it's the Gorn equivalent of the USS Sutherland, really. We've got a Gorn commander. When attacking, you can convert a blank to a hit automatically. So with a disruptive bombardment, that's triggering for every attack that he uses. Gorn hegemony again, Gorn sensors. We've got another Beta Herogen, again for the extra scans. And we've got Christopher Hobson. When a defending ship is cloaked, the defending ship rolls -2 defense die.
Mr. Hobson.
Yep. I can assume that the Scot is just covering his bases when it comes to a lot of people certainly have been recently running a lot of cloaked ships. So he's always got that there just in case. So yeah, it's a tanky list, but it's also, with those 2 disruptive bombardments, it's not something you really want to fly towards. You don't really want to fly straight out that, I don't think. But yeah, so that's Scott. We know what Scott can do, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see if anyone can actually kill that Sutherland. So that is our 5th round matchups. So if we move into matchup 6, let's go with the man himself, Jeff, against Eric. Okay. Paz, do you fancy fielding Jeff's or Eric's?
I'll do Jeff's.
Okay.
On screen. Okay. There we go. Got there eventually. Right then, so what is Jeff playing? Oh, there you go. There's a trademark ship, it's Weapon Zero. Something that Jeff has recently neglected, so it's good to see it back. Back home with Daddy. Gen Con, so almost always going to be up there on the field. Torpedo Fusillade, because it has got an arc like a Borg sphere, so it's going to be shooting lots of people with a high attack dice. Additional phaser arrays, another Jeff staple to make an additional weapon shot with the primary, and then you've got McCoy who's hiding someone. I'd like to speculate it's probably some kind of modification to help with the offense. But
Could be.
that's all it is. It could be. To see what else. Oh, there's a Ferengi shot. Oh, yes. So let's talk about this Ferengi shot before we really talk about it. So Jeff has created an abomination for it. It is hideous. It's unreal. It's an outrage.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
It is. He's one-upped the Borg Queen on Voyager Sphere. Saucer, sorry. So, yes, brace yourselves. Back to the shuttle itself. So you've got a generic Ferengi captain. You've got yourself, oh god, here you go, Nick, I've got to pronounce this. Kiafet Amansor. Well, I think I did it right there.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So extra defense dice for fleet action. Assigned to Zindi. I think this is more for the captain's skill and possibly the offense. We'll see. Meridor Gornale, Genesis effect with the hidden crew. Repurposed cargo hold. To what effect? I don't really know at this point in time. Biomimetic gel, which is one that I really haven't got my head wrapped around. Jeff, do you want to break down biomimetic gel? Because it has quite some funky things going, doesn't it?
Sure. You can place it on a friendly upgrade, either a crew or a weapon or a tech, but everyone just does it on the crew because of its cool effect. Basically, if you've placed a biogel token on a crew, then the ship that had biogel can use that crew's ability as though the crew was on your ship. So you don't have to actually have the card on your ship, you can just use its ability. So it's another sneaky way to get lots of crew abilities available onto one ship, similar to shuttlecrafts and malts and stuff.
So it's like an Odo or a Vendorian spy type.
Yeah, very
Nice.
much so. Yeah.
Looking at that shuttle, I have absolutely no idea what's going on. It's obviously going to dock, but
Yep, I'm
I
afraid
have
so.
no idea. And then you've got Luren's Bird of Prey. That is typically is paired quite nicely with another offensive rangy ship. The shuttle's only got 2 dice, but I'm not quite sure if it's there for that, but we'll see. So Damien Solok with 2 hidden crew underneath. We've got Lure for that manoeuvring ability. Cargo hold to increase upgrade options. Govol, one you don't see very often. You bring all sorts of different things today, aren't you? Anytime you discard a crew, you may discard Govol. That's my general gist. Julian Bashir, Meridon Gornail, Verteron Pulse Trap for an initial minefield being placed during setup. It gives everyone orcs. Any ship that goes in that range will not get some orcs. The classic Malts.
Lord Malt.
Woohoo!
Who will beam.
Lord Moth, that's right.
Honestly, it takes 3 upgrades from that ship and deploy them to your ship. So yes, got to be done. You've got Riker, who allows you to make a crew. There you go. There's Drex. There's that offensive ability. So you can see all the elements. It's all about supporting that weapon zero. And when it gets rolling, it really starts knocking some heads together.
In true Jeff style, there's going to be a lot of card swapping going on.
Yes, it's going to be
My favorite.
Worth noting that when the cards swap, the values of the printed fleet prior to the game are what still counts, not the values changing during the game. Alright, so if you're going for points, just keep that in mind. But lastly, this is some Frankenstein's monster stuff going on here. Stuff will be moving, but it's bizarre Jeff shenanigans with weapon zero as per usual. And I can't get my head around it. It's a good look forming a strategy with this one.
Well, it's a good thing you're not facing him then, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yet. Right, let me move on to Eric. Stand by while I fill the void with my sultry tones. Eric, where are you on my list? What's Eric's handle?
You're there, Papa.
I've got a Jedi Papa.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Alright. Let's get this rolling. Brace yourselves.
Should be a grass roll with car.
On screen.
Right. Okay. So I'm fed up of talking about disruptor bombardment. So yeah, he's got a disruptor bombardment and a couple of other ships. Right. Next up. No, only joking. Right. We've got a grass roll. We know it's powerful. Carr, very underrated captain. Although actually, no, I don't think he's underrated. I think everyone knows he's good. He gets an extra attack die as long as he's got a greater captain skill than you. He's got 2 talent slots on there, and he can reroll 1 attack die passively twice. He's a very good captain, actually. So very good if you're using Disruptive Bombardment, because Car's ability will trigger for each attack. We've got something hidden under Genesis effect. We've got some enhanced durability to go well with the already tanky Gress roll. Drex, you just want to run Drex with your Disruptive Bombardment because he's converting for every attack. And Balana Torres as well. She's just some extra rerolls. It's just for 38 points.
I've got
Go
a
on.
pipe up. Balana Torres is such an underrated card in this game, in my opinion.
Definitely. So
Especially
he's got the Car reroll. He's got the Torres reroll. He's going to be getting a lot of hits with that Disruptive Bombardment. And like I said, for 38 points, that ship is way more powerful than it has any right to be.
Terrifying. I agree.
Yeah. Next up, we've got a Negvar, generic Negvar class. Love the Negvar class. And why wouldn't you run a torpedo fusillade on a Negvar class? We've got a lovely Captain Skill 11 core because of Worf being on there. We've got Engaran, which is basically Drex again. So again, with the torpedo fusillade, it's all about the multi-attacks here. Lots of conversions going on. We've got a cloning facility on there, and we've got Toral, which is just a little bit of extra defensive. Again, why wouldn't you? And then finally, we've got a lovely little D7 plonked in there as well. We've got the Talon with Denatra. So Denatra is going to be boosting both Disruptor Bombardment and Torpedo Fusillade, just making them even more scary. We've got Ambassador Cord. I think this is the third Ambassador Cord we've seen so far in this tournament, having not seen him for a little while. So interesting to see him coming back, but he's just good for messing with. If anyone doesn't know what he does, you've basically got two options with him. You choose an opponent's ship, and you can force that opponent to either plan that ship's maneuvers face up until it takes damage, or you get to plan their first maneuver. So there's two ways to really mess with. Speaking for myself, I used against Haz the other day. I chose to let him see my face-up dial, and rather than him messing up my initial fleet deployment, and I won't say how it went, but let's just say that I didn't like either choice. So Cord is very good, especially for 3 points. We've got Tal Shiar on there, some cloaked mines, obviously, disruptor beams, and is disruptor beams also a multi-attack? No, it's not, but it is a very powerful attack. And then finally, a nice little Borg shoved on there with second of 5 for discarding some upgrades. So the Talon is kind of scary to fly towards as well, really. But yeah, he's all about the multi-attacks, and those multi-attacks are scary. So that's what Eric's got going for him.
Always a bad sign when you look at a fleet and like, okay, which ship do I want to kill first? And it's like, ooh, if I kill that one, the other one's going to destroy me.
Definitely, there's three strong ships there. Definitely. Right, our last two matchups. So we've got match 7 coming up. Not too many fleets left to pull now. So this one is going to be TJ against Kilo. I think I'm quite happy to talk about Kilos, actually, for the sake of our good friend Chris, who's a very big fan of the Intrepid class. So I'll give Kilos a go in a second. Who wants to take TJ?
TJ's on screen. Yeah, go on then, I'll go. Right, so what are you packing today, TJ? TJ, one of our resident bloggers. Make sure you check out his blogs. He likes to do type-ups of tournaments. Sorry, I've just got a text. My other half has got whiplash. Oh dear. Okay, she's hurt herself. Right.
Do you want me to take?
Come again?
Do you want me to take over, or are you?
Yeah, if you can take over for me. I've got
Sure.
to deal with this.
Okay, so I'll talk about TJ's fleet, which I guess he said is up. So, an Excelsior class, the actual named Excelsior, and we don't see many of them, so that'll be fun to see that one on the board. The Vulcan Captain Murak, who, if he has a scan, so definite scan fun here. If you have a scan, he can convert a blank to a hit, or a crit if it's an independent captain on the defending ship. So I have never seen Murak run, but I understand he's pretty good. So that'll be fun. Advanced shields for more defense on the Excelsior. Arsenal. It's a common trick to have Arsenal to add Type 8 and upgraded onto one of these ships with 3 attack dice. But unfortunately, Type 8 phasers are banned for this event. So TJ has done the next best thing and at least used upgraded phasers. But both of those weapons can only go on a ship with 3 or fewer primary weapon value. So his other weapon is Experimental Torpedo Bay. That's a fun card from the recent Fed pack, which lets you hide an expensive torpedo for not much cost. So it's a good way to bring some of those torpedoes back into play. Dimitri Valtine, another one who can trigger off of a scan, and very, very good choice, Beta Hirogen, so that when your ship performs a scan action, you place an extra scan, and that becomes important because if you have several abilities that trigger off a token, you have to only use one of them for each token, so it'll give a lot more flexibility for TJ's Excelsior here to have 2 scans next to his ship, in addition to the combat bonus that gives you. The second one is Tecumseh. This is another one of the cards from another one of the ships from the Vulcan pack. Haven't seen this one too much, but it's again more scan tricks. And yes, I think TJ, I don't know if it was TJ, but someone was experimenting a little bit on the channels with a super defensive ship using T'Pol, the Vulcan captain here, who can spend scans as though they are evades or battle stations. So you can potentially get a distressingly high number of scan tokens on your ship and use them to cancel attacks or cut down attacks. So the ship ability gives you a second token, the Beta Hirogen gives you a third token, close range scan, which although it says activation phase, it's after something that happens, so it does trigger after a scan action has happened. So you get another one. So this has the potential to be not just lots of scans, but they're free because of high energy sensor sweep. So this is going to be interesting. You can literally, I'm not sure exactly how many scans you're going to get here. Oh yeah, so all these free stuff, and then Science Officer, which is a separate action to place 2 more scan tokens by your ship. So I literally can have like 7, I'm not even sure. And you can turn around and spend them as evade tokens. So that ship is not invulnerable. It's not as good as something that, say, cancels 7 hits on every attack, because you only get to spend those things one time and then they're gone. I mean, you could spend evades at multiple points during the round, but if someone hits you with lots of attacks, you might still be vulnerable. But man, that's going to be a hard ship to take down. So another very interesting ship, and I like the fact that, just like with Tora Zial, we see people experimenting a little bit in their casual games and then bringing these ships into combat, into a friendly but still competitive tournament, and it'll be great to see how these ideas turn out against some of these high-powered attacking ships out there. So we'll keep our eye on that question. And finally, the third ship is a Klingon Burrell, a generic one with, once again, original series core. Since we took animated core off the table, people have definitely switched over to this as the core of choice. He's got 2 crew on this ship, so that'll be 2 nice free rerolls on every attack. And Chemosite to make your Burrell more maneuverable. Can add 2 to the speed of any maneuver, and also at some key point adding in an extra hit in there. And of course, boosting Worf to take that 8 skill core, and this one goes up to 11, which is really nice on a cloaking ship, because if you're moving late, then you can make good choices, not just on whether you're echoing, but also the choice of whether to trigger Chemosite or not. If you're moving last, that's a lot of maneuverable flexibility. So I like all 3 of these ships. This is a nice fleet from TJ, and let's see how it goes.
Just to pick up on what you said there as well, it is, seeing an Excelsior class and seeing what, we can point to it in several fleets so far, but it is, I think, with the ban list, it is nice to see the variety and some of the more obscure cards coming to the board, like you said, like Zial and some of these ones.
Absolutely.
It definitely shows that it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Kilo. So a friend of mine, Chris, big Voyager fan, likes this very Voyager themed build that we've got going on. Apologies for the background sound, that would be Haz's microphone. He's walked away from it temporarily, and it can do that. But in the meantime, we've got the Borgified USS Voyager.
Can you reduce his volume?
It's coming through on the stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about it aside from me texting him and telling him to mute himself. Yeah, there we go.
Haz is still with us.
Right. In the meantime, we've got the Borgified USS Voyager. I think the preferred Voyager for most people. It's got an absolutely fantastic dial. We've got Captain Janeway for extra tokens. We've got Engage for extra maneuverability. Interlink Transceiver. It's a nice cheap card that will certainly help Voyager, given that it's Borg ability. We've got Impulse Drive, again, more maneuverability, and Mars O'Brien to help that Impulse Drive be usable all the time. So it's similar to Haz's fleet in a way. It's all about nipping around the board with great maneuverability there. Second of all, we've got the other Intrepid class, the USS Bellerophon. Another very nice maneuvering ship with Maxwell Forest as an option and Federation Helmsman. We've got the female Q that I certainly haven't seen or come up against before. Looks like it's giving you an extra shield as an action, which won't trigger after you lose your shields, but certainly it's a very high captain skill. I think it's a 10 generically.
Yeah, it's the only one that's 10. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, it's the only one that's a 10, and Forrest making it an 11 means great for out captain skilling your opponent. We've got a dorsal phaser array on there as well, just cover the blind spots. Not that he might necessarily need it with all the maneuverability options he's got, but it's there anyway. And Bashir for helping William Riker, who is going to be performing extra actions, and it just synergizes very well. And keeping with the Voyager theme, we've got a lovely little Delta Flyer going on with a dorsal phaser array, and it'd be a nice distraction, I feel, the Delta Flyer, with power grid and a Geordie LaForge. It'd be interesting to see what Geordie LaForge does, whether he stays on Delta Flyer or goes elsewhere. But either way, the Delta Flyer is going to be a nice distraction. Do you shoot it and leave yourself open to the Intrepid classes flying around, or do you leave the Delta Flyer just harassing you? Some good options there. Yeah, but certainly it's a great looking fleet on the board anyway.
I personally would like to get matched up against Kilo in this tournament, because that's strange that Kilo and I have got such similar tactics, I suppose you could say.
That would be a great game, yeah, to see
the paired fed ships, yeah,
trying to outmaneuver each other. That's all it would be, really, isn't it?
Flying past each other, right?
Okay, so I'm not sure who we've got left, but someone at home, I'm sure, has probably done the math, and we will reveal the final match, which is Eben, former finalist, and Jerry, our late submission, but helping us to get to an even number. So I've got a feeling that Haz is going to want to talk about Eben's list. And Jeff, did you want to talk about Jerry's?
Sure, I would love to.
So Haz,
is Haz back?
Yeah, relatively. I've had some details, so let's crack on. So yes, Eben. Let's have a quick scan. What we're looking at? Define. So we've got a wolf pack of sorts. 4 defined class vessels. So the better named one, the Sao Paulo. If you spend that battle stations in offense, you get it back. Captain Worf before, so if you're shooting with this ship, you get your battle station. Red alert, a poor man's battle hardened. Ablative armor for additional agility and crit mitigation. Phaser cannons, arsenal to keep the phaser cannons going. Upgraded phasers to buff up the primary. And a nice little byproduct, some fighter squadron, anti-fighter squadron technology. Which we haven't seen too many squadrons in this one. I think we've only seen one squadron thus far, haven't we?
Just the one, yeah.
Rapid reload to keep those phaser cannons going. Vorik for the defense, and Bashir to keep Vorik going. So it's I'd consider this one of Eben's staple type of ships. There's slight tweaks here and there in every tournament, but he knows what he wants to do and what he'll accomplish with this ship. So if you've flown against it or seen it before, it's no surprises, but it will hit like a ton of bricks. And then backing that up, you've got the Wolf Pack. So you've got free action Mr. Spock with calculating, ablative armor, phaser cannons, and rapid reload to keep those phaser cannons coming. You've got another Defiant with Diet Picard, ablative armor, phaser cannons, and upgraded phasers. So this one's going to hit a little bit harder, a lot cheaper. You've got a Captain Skill 8 for free because of Picard's point mitigation. So that helps make that ship hit above its weight class. And then you've got another. I like this version of Riker. This is a version of Captain Riker you don't often see. It's a perfect fit for because it comes with the USS Hathaway pack, doesn't it? If I recall correctly from OP. You know, if you've got typically a Defiant's going to be fighting either a free-hull ship or more. When it's more, you're getting the extra attack dice and you get the extra defense. I really like that as a captain ability. It's tasty. Ablative armor, phaser cannons, rapid reload. There's not too much variety going on. You know what this is capable of, but it's got the numbers to exploit all those angles. Recently flown quite a few Defiants myself, so this is one thing I did toy with. I was considering bringing a fleet of 4 Defiants, so I'm glad someone has done it. You know, it will hit very hard. There's no particular linchpin to it. Granted, the Sao Paulo's got a big bullseye on it, but all the other ships can still carry themselves quite nicely. They've got the action economy to back them up, and they've got all the dice numbers. That's what I like. I like a nice little Federation swarm tactic with the Wolf Pack. I like that fleet. Very nice. And then I'm just gonna get Jerry's list loaded up. So you've got the typical staple with Evan with the Sao Paulo, which has dropped in its popularity, I think, lately. But Evan keeps it, makes it work. That's why Evan's got to a final several times. Twice, and Evan's quite new to them. Right then, Jerry, on screen.
Got a Ruins Bird of Prey. Okay, well, Jerry was kind enough to make a last-second submission to get us up to 16, which is a nice even number, and he has some very creative things in this fleet. I'm quite impressed, in fact. It's fun to see Lurin's Bird of Prey on the board. There's always this question of getting to attack first, and the Dahar Masters fleets were getting these massive captain skills. And with Dahar Masters off the table, people are turning to con or boosts from crew. But another way to go is with Lurin's Bird of Prey, where as long as you have another Federation ship with a Federation captain in your fleet, your 2 ships get to attack first before anyone, no matter how high their captain skill is. So this is going to be an unfortunate ship to face attacking first, because it's got TOS core with Drax quality on the fuselage, 2 crew for those nice rerolls, and torpedo fuselage. So that's going to be attacking a lot of ships. There's 4 Defiants to go after over there, so that'll be a fun exchange. And so what Jerry did is actually similarly to what I did, just fulfilling the requirement. It needs to be a Ferengi ship with a Ferengi captain, even a pretty lame Ferengi captain. So Zek, with his captain skill 2, still gets to attack second if those 2 ships both have a opposing ship in their firing arc. You don't have to attack that ship, but you do get to take the first 2 attacks of the combat phase. So Jerry has made a an interesting choice here. I like it. The Goss's Marauder. I'm not a big fan of the Decora classes with their stats, but it has a sweet ability which lets you passively, if you did a green maneuver every other round, basically you can undisable a card or bring back a discarded Ferengi upgrade for free. So if you have something powerful that is a discard ability, and currently there's one card on his ship, which is Omag, that lets you either discard it to undisable one of your weapons, which he doesn't have any weapons. So basically what he is going to do is probably use the other ability, which lets Omag attack with a weapon from another ship, even a ship that is locked to another to a ship class. So in this case, Jerry has a Gorn Disruptor Bombardment. So Nick will be pleased to see that even though there's only one Gorn ship here, there's two of them that can be attacking with Disruptor Bombardment. So this Goss's Marauder will also be attacking early, potentially with multi-targets. He's got Nagaran quality. He's got Chulak, one of my favorite cards, to put 3 scan tokens down. So every one of those attacks you're doing has to roll 3 fewer defense dice against you. Grilka in there just to be annoying in case you're facing Ferengi who are spending gold press latinum. I think I might be the only one who's spending latinum. I'm not sure, but this is going to be great. So if you can maneuver well and get a ship in your firing arc for both those ships, Lurins and Gosses are going to hit really hard. He's also got rules of acquisition there to give you a bunch of latinum onto your lame Ferengi captain, and to get more quality or an evade or whatever you need. I guess if you didn't get an action, then you can put a battle station down that way, and that's really nice. I like these two ships a lot, and also I like his third ship, which is a Gorn Raider, only 14 points on the ship cost, with a very inexpensive captain, Idrin, and a very inexpensive weapon, Disruptor Bombardment. But Idrin just works so great with it. I've never seen this done, but I should have seen it done. You attack with Disruptor Bombardment, and then in the activation phase, you take the 2 remaining time tokens off your weapon, so he can attack with Idrin every single round with Disruptor Bombardment. So that's going to be great. And the whole ship only costs 18 points. So if you can get down to attacking at skill 3, that one's also going to be really annoying to get attacked by. And then finally, USS Intrepid, the other Vulcan ship, which can place a scanned and an evade between both itself and another ship, so helping out some of those other attacking ships. And also is, one of the great supporting captains we're now seeing is Cool Turan, who can give a plus attack and plus defense to all your friendly ships, as long as you're facing a particular faction. I would recommend Fed faction for this game at least, and Chekhov to often remove that Ox that gets placed when the Intrepid uses its free ability. So yeah, this is a nice fleet. I really like this fleet. Yeah. So that'll be a good game as well.
What I'm drawing from this is I'm essentially going to open a tenner.
What is that?
Especially you using Cool Turan to Turan's catching on, and now the name's catching on. It's just
Yep.
It's dark times now.
He is the trendsetter, no question.
Cool Turan is awesome. So there we have it. We have our round 1 matches, all 8 of them. Some very, very good lists in there, and some very, very scary lists. I know there's several on there I can think off the top of my head that I kind of hope I don't get paired up against, if I'm honest. But it's good. It's good. It's going to be a really good round 1, I think. A lot of ones I'm looking forward to watching.
I'm going to say that just from looking at this and how things have turned out and transpired, the Where No Ban Has Gone Before ban list I think has been a success, because you've got some real variety going on here.
we haven't got about 4 or 5 Dahar master lists, have we? So that was partially where it stemmed from. It was seeing too many lists that are the same or variations of. We've definitely got way more variety in this one, so I like it.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased because the ban list, it's a double-edged sword, because on the one hand you're taking away things that have become too knee-jerk a card to run, or the same thing over and over again. But on the other hand, people really like those cards, and so if we ban a bunch of them, I was worried, are there going to be some people who are like, nah, that doesn't sound fun anymore, I can't run my Picard 9 or whatever. So the fact that we got 16 players is wonderful. I'm really happy
I
about
think
that.
It's important for us to clarify that the cards that have been specifically banned for this will be back for future tournaments. It was just a one-time just to see what else we could come up with. So if you're a big fan of Dahar Masters, don't worry, they will return, I'm sure.
Jeff, when we discussed this in the event committee, Jeff definitely brought the math, and the statistics were brought across from all the fleets in previous recent events, and you could see how many times each card was specifically used, which is what formulated the ban list. And then the voting for it was very clear cut. I think there was only one that was a controversial one. Was it Type 8?
I think it was Type 8, yeah. There was a late run on people trying to ban RSVs also, but they didn't quite get banned.
What a shame. What a shame.
Next time. So, but that being said, there is a distinct drop in the number of RSVs in this tournament as well, because interface generator not being about, that's been a big buff.
Just being you, isn't it, Has?
Is it really? Yeah,
it's just being you with the RSV.
The one thing I just remembered, we are probably going to start a new channel pretty soon that's more for use in between tournaments, where people can kind of casually challenge each other with a title that gets handed back and forth between whoever beats the champion. And probably what we're going to do is whoever wins this tournament will start out as the champion. Either that or we'll qualify for the first match automatically. So a little bit more at stake in this tournament, other than just getting to call yourself Fremont champion, which is quite nice as it is. But
knowing what they know about that, I can just say for people to very much look forward to that. I think it'll, not that it needs it, but I think it definitely breathe new life into the channel. It will give us even more to do going forwards, more exciting matches to watch. So yeah, we'll announce more, I think, closer to the end of this tournament.
Right.
But definitely look forward to that. So yeah.
Oh, and also special thanks to Nick for doing the graphics this time around. Usually that's been something I did, but we thought he might also have the skills at it, and I think it's quite clear that quite spectacular graphics here in front of us. So thanks for doing all that effort, Nick, and it looks great.
That's okay. I hope to get better as well.
That was very humble for you. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I'm the best. Yeah, no.
Brilliant.
So we'll shortly be posting all the matches up and all the fleets for you all to take a closer look on the channel.
People can go ahead and contact each other and schedule their games, but we'll post things so you know things like their account name and stuff. So that should happen later today at some point.
If you want your game streamed as well, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll endeavour to try and do it. Obviously, give us a bit of notice so we can get a bit of prep time. But we'd like to stream as many games as we possibly can. It's nice to have the content from Fremont to get more exposure out there. So
right.
So yes, please contact us.
And remember that's Haz or Nick, and they're both UK time zones. So the people in the US could be encouraged to play the games a little earlier in the day to make that work, if possible. But there's other options if not.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay.
Right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for having us, Jeff, as per usual. Thanks for setting the graphics up, Nick. And
No problem.
Absolutely.